evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we are here with episode 573 of F5 Live Refreshing Technology for Sunday, September 20th, 2020. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, Android's firing the nannies, Google's enhancing their fiber, and comics are coming to the DC universe. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or Snapchat, through a podcatcher like Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, the new Amazon Music, Spotify, TuneIn, or a myriad of other options, through our live stream platforms, livestream.com, Twitch, Periscope, YouTube, or Facebook, or of course on our website, PLUGHITZlive.com. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is on Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can go to f5live.tv/join us, and there you can chat with us in the studio. Give us your feedback on the topics as we talk about them. We always love to hear that. Or, of course, you can always go to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe, and there you'll see all of our shows, including F5 Live, The Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, and a whole lot more. And, of course, find all of the ways that you can watch or listen, like I said just a second ago, including the new Amazon Music podcast service, which we were on launch day, which we're very excited about. Pretty cool new addition to their service. Anyway, Avram, how has your week gone?
All right, I guess. I mean,
computers are fighting with us, but
yeah, it's been a long week. I mean, we did have some really exciting news coming out this week on Tom's Hardware. RTX 3080 reviews are out. Super powerful card. People are really dying for them. So a lot of people coming to read about it, which is great. So that is going on. We also just published a couple of really important articles that I recommend everyone read. We have an article on how to build a PC for under $350. I talked on this show last week about how to build a PC for under $800, but here's $350. The catch is that it's using primarily used components.
Okay.
And I got a chance to, which we'll talk about more later on the Piltch Point, test out Nvidia's new broadcast software, which is a pretty cool piece of software for filtering out unwanted backgrounds and noise. So you know, it was fun. It was work, but it was good.
Well, if you guys were watching the pre-show while we were preparing, you might have gotten to see some of that in action. It's pretty slick. I cannot wait to see all the other things, because all I've seen so far is the background blurring. I did notice that it caught your microphone as background, but other than that, it did a really good job of even the headphones. It picked out as foreground, so that's way better than the other ones I've seen.
I'll talk later about how, I mean, I shouldn't say how it does it, because I don't know exactly how it works behind the scenes, but I know what it does, and I've talked to Nvidia about how they designed it, so about what it's supposed to do.
Very cool. Well, I look forward to hearing that during the Piltch Point, which will be in just a couple of minutes. I can tell you that the studio is coming along. We're getting there. I feel super comfortable now. 2 shows in a row that things are working, which is, in the old studio, we couldn't always guarantee that because the internet was questionable and all kinds of other issues that we had. But other than the fact that I keep looking to my right instead of straight ahead to look at you, Avram, other than that, I'm pretty comfortable with where we are, which is a good place to be. And the new portion is coming along nicely too, which I cannot wait to premiere. And then this week we will be pushing out some new videos on the new Monster Luminescence products, which I'm also very excited about now that I'm back in the groove of life, getting to do some how-to videos is going to be pretty exciting. So I'm looking forward to publishing those hopefully in the next couple of days. I hope to get them all edited tomorrow. Fingers crossed. But for now, we had a lot happen this week and a lot of big topics to talk about. So let's get to the news. This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, an Xbox, whether it be an Xbox One or very soon the Xbox Series S or X, you're looking for games or a whole lot more like VR and AR headsets, you can get all of them at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students and active military can get up to 10% discount on almost all products. You can find out about all of that by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So we know that over the last couple of years, Google has put a lot of focus on enhancing securities for Android. There's the app scanner and things like that are all built into the platform, trying to look for malicious code. We've talked a lot about apps that aren't what they appear, such as, a solitaire app that asks for access to your contacts. But there's a whole category of apps that have been mostly ignored. They're known as stalkerware. Now, there's a couple of classes of stalkerware. Some are legit, some are not. Parental monitoring software or enterprise management software. If you've got a corporate phone, your company might make sure that certain things aren't installed. But then there's the consumer version, which is also referred to as spouseware, which tends to be used to spy on a partner or on maybe a friend if you get a hold of their device. And these obviously can create all kinds of problems because they're not known to the person that's been installed. There's no notification that screens are being recorded, that messages are being accessed, and they show up on the device with a name and an icon that tend to appear pretty innocuous. Maybe it looks like a settings app or, something built in, a photo app. But that's obviously not what they are behind the scenes. They're actually sharing your messages and maybe watching your keystrokes and sending them to somebody else, which is obviously not a great situation. And Google has finally addressed these headlong and said that these types of apps are no longer acceptable in the Google Play Store. The parental monitoring apps and the corporate management apps are still allowed, which could, of course, maintain the problem in a different way. But in general, the covert version of this concept is theoretically set to be sunset real quick, which I think is a great move because these apps, if you don't trust somebody enough that you're putting something like this on their phone, there's other problems, and it's not Google's responsibility to help you. What do you think, Avram?
So I'm trying to look up the name of it, but years ago I had to review a piece of software, phone software. I gotta say that I really wish I knew the name. I really wish I knew the name of it. It sounded like Spectre, I think. I don't know. What I'm trying to remember is whether or not it was in the Play Store or it was a sideload Android app. But I found it extremely offensive. This goes back so far that I think it's before I myself was a parent.
Okay.
But I remember getting this to review, and like just the concept of it I viscerally hated, because it tried to hide itself so that the kid wouldn't. It was like, the goal was you put it on your child's phone, and then anytime your child sends a text message, you get an email of it.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime your I think anytime your child visits a website or something, you get an email of it, or what. Like, it was just really, really invasive without telling
Mm-hmm.
you. But what it didn't, without telling the user at all, but it didn't. There were a lot of things that it didn't track. So it didn't track any instant messaging. It didn't track email or whatever. It only tracked, I think, text messages, and it had some kind of geofencing thing. And I remember that, like, the company that did was really offended that I said that their software was slimy. Like, I found it very slimy, and they came back with ridiculous argument that, like, but what if your child is gonna, doing something bad, like about to take drugs or about to kill himself or something, and you would know now from their text messages or whatever. Like, you could always come up with an argument, I guess a straw man argument like that.
Uh-huh.
But the thing is, like, A, it didn't track everything, only some things. And B, it's done, completely, sort of stealthily breaking the trust. And of course, it could also be used for people who aren't children, right?
Right.
Do it again on your spouse, could do it on your partner, whatever. So, yeah, I think Google is right not to allow this, period, right? Transparency is how it has to be. Now, the fact is, if you're only banning it from Google Play, but the operating system still can allow that sort of thing to be there, then that's also an issue.
Yeah. That would obviously require a lot more work, because obviously that would be at the operating system level versus being able to just scan the store and go, oop, nope, you're gone.
Yeah.
But if you look at, some of the stuff that Apple has done with iOS 14, if you're an iPhone user and you've been confused about the little dots in the top right corner, those new little dots are all about this. There are a variety of colors depending on what's being actively monitored at the time, including screen recording, audio, video. It's whatever physical device is currently in action. There's an icon for. There's a little dot to let you know. So there are ways that the operating system could alert you that your screen is being recorded, or your voice is being recorded and shared, or whatever. Because I think Apple found a pretty simple yet effective way to accomplish it. But obviously, to limit the access to the data would be, there are people who use screen recorders for making videos. I have one as part of our how-to with these lights. So there are definitely legitimate reasons for the individual features in the operating system, but letting the user know that it's happening is a good middle ground, I think. So for now, the solution, of course, will be that the App Store will be monitored for these types of products and be prevented. If, like Avram said, sideloading is its own thing that is bigger than all of us. So maybe in Android 12, they can come up with a way to address this, since 11 basically has a street date. Maybe we'll see this in a future Android version, because like I said, Apple did a pretty good job of addressing some of these types of concerns. And they don't even have the side loading problem, and they're still letting you know, which is obviously that's exactly how we found out, the stuff that TikTok was up to, and that Instagram was accessing your camera when it shouldn't have been. Things like that are all because of these little dots. So I think there's some great ways to address it. You're right, but at least this is a good first step. It'll probably, because I can't imagine, honestly, I can't imagine the type of person who is installing this on their spouse's or significant other's phone is the kind of person who is going to figure out side loading. In general, there are going to be exceptions, but something tells me.
Yeah, don't. Some people are tech smart and not. You can have a high IQ and a low EQ, so it's it's not necessarily impossible for someone to do it. But yeah, I think even if you were to say with a kid or with a teen or whatever, I think you monitor them, but you tell them that you're doing it. It
Sure.
should always be transparent.
Yeah. A proper parental monitoring software that doesn't try and hide itself as a camera app or some kind of thing that's built into the device, but says, this is who I am and this is what's happening. Those are the only things that'll be allowed in the store going forward. And I think that's the right behavior personally. So, I don't know the exact timeline on this, though I do believe that the initial purge will begin probably soon. I would imagine this week. They'll start scanning and pulling stuff. So expect that if you're trying to use something like this, that things are going to go sideways on you real quick. This week's Piltch Point with Avram Piltch is proudly powered by PureVPN. The best way to protect your privacy online is with PureVPN. You can hide your online activities, say goodbye to regional restrictions, and improve your streaming quality. Plus, it's available for almost all of your devices, and you can get a special price and a 31-day money-back guarantee, all by going to piltchpoint.live/PureVPN. All right, so we teased it at the beginning of the show. Right. You've got some cool stuff going on this week, right, Avram?
So, yes. So first, let me explain what it is, and then I'm going to turn around, quite literally, to another computer behind me, which is also connected, and demonstrate. So this week, Nvidia came out with its new Nvidia broadcast software, which requires you to have an Nvidia RTX capable card. Doesn't mean you have to have one of the new RTX 3080 cards. You could just have an RTX 2070, which is what I have in that machine, or 2060 or 2080. It has to be RTX, Nvidia RTX enabled card. So what does it do? It allows you to filter out noise or backgrounds. Just the things that are an embarrassment to all of us. I consider an embarrassment prevention device, embarrassment preventionware, that where you have a problem, there's noise in your background that you don't want people to hear, or there's a messy background that you would like to do something about, you think can do better. Now, what we discovered in the pre-show is that for some reason I can't demonstrate the noise part of it. So but I can demonstrate the video part, and I will screen share from there so you can see what the interface looks like and what you ought to be able to do.
Very cool. All right.
So 1 minute.
So while Avram transitions from one computer to another, this, like he said, this is brand new, and some of the features might look semi-familiar, but what we were saying in the pre-show is that they're doing it really well.
So, if you can hear me now,
yes,
this is a blurred background. So I'm going to open up NVIDIA's broadcast, and I'm going to show you what the different background options are. So weird I can hear myself. I'm also going to see if I can share my screen. Can I do that? Yes. All right. Are you seeing my screen now?
Yes.
It's like the Infinite Cat project. So what I have here is the Nvidia broadcast application. And you can see there's 3 tabs: microphone, speakers, and camera. On the microphone tab, you pick what your microphone is, which I did. And then you can choose to enable or disable noise removal and test the strength of it. What that will do is it'll remove loud noises behind you. And I tested it with a fan. I tested it with my son throwing a temper tantrum. I tested it with the Paw Patrol theme song playing behind me. And a few other things. Lawnmower. And it worked flawlessly. I mean, you can tell that the voice is a little bit cut off. Like the fullness of it isn't there. But it's really good. The other thing that's really good about it is it filters out typing noise. So if you're in a meeting and you don't want the boss to know you're multitasking, just enable it. You can also do it on the incoming end with the speakers option. So if someone is typing that you're talking to, you can filter them out. Finally, and most importantly, we have the camera. So here you can see a little preview of it with a blurred background. So if I turn the background blur off, you can see that the area behind me is totally sharp. But if I turn it on and I change the string, it's sharper or blurrier. The other things you can choose are background replacement. And what that does is you can pick a picture or even a video, and you can have yourself superimposed on it. So maybe this will look better if I stop screen sharing. So now you can see that there's this fake background behind me.
Wow,
another cool thing.
That's possibly the best edge detection that I've seen on a system like this. Because obviously this is far from the first of its kind, but that's the best edge detection I've seen on one of these. It's getting like the individual folds of your shirt at your elbow, on the
good.
edges, which is really impressive.
It usually shows your chair too.
Yeah.
And they made it to do that on purpose.
Yeah, that makes sense because
also, there's another person.
Without the chair, the
like
context is weird.
Here,
uh-huh.
They would be shown.
Okay, how many people is it able to track? Do you know?
Well, I tried it with 3.
Okay, that's pretty impressive.
I had my daughter on my lap and my son standing next to me, and they were not erased.
Nice.
But if I take an object and I'm holding it in my hand, it will get erased. So here I'm holding a Raspberry Pi, and it just disappeared. You see that?
I loved that on one side it worked fine, and then you spun it around, it just vanished, like your David Copperfield.
Yeah, exactly. It's worked. So if you were trying to show someone your phone, you'd have a problem.
Gotcha.
The other thing you can do is what's called background removal. And what that will do is if you're using something like OBS, where you can have different layers, you could have yourself on top of a game.
Yeah, so that gives you the ability to do chroma key, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like a green screen. I can't do it without doing this in OBS, which I'm not doing right now. But that's how you would do it. There's one more option on here that is a little different. It's auto frame. So what that does is it'll follow my head. See?
And it's got you framed well too.
That's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's basically cropping.
Yeah.
If I zoom
the same or similar feature
out enough, it may not be able to do it. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the whole
shifting a little bit. A little bit, but not enough.
Well, what this really makes me wish is that someone would make a camera on a pan and tilt that would actually do it.
That would be able to respond to the request from the app. That's really clever, actually.
Right? I mean, that would be really cool. It's if you could have it mechanical. But nobody makes such a camera. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, there are cameras. Yeah, we interviewed a company at CES last year. They would just have to be able to respond to this. It has its own version of this built in, is how it works, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that would be great. I mean, I'd love to see that. So that's kind of a quick overview. I'm going to switch back to something that doesn't echo.
All right. Well, that's a pretty that's a pretty cool setup there.
It was a long trip, but I made it.
Success. Yeah.
Anyway, it was
pretty
weird
cool,
hearing
Avram.
myself through the thing.
I was so glad that I was able to go full screen on myself, because at the very beginning I was laughing so hard, because we've all done it. Everybody who's ever been in that position has done it, where your vocal cadence changes because you're responding to yourself in your headphones on a delay, and so you pause on yourself in the middle of sentences.
Yeah, it's just weird to hear myself. I can't bear to hear myself normally as it is. One thing I will tell you that it was not able to do, which makes some sense, is the noise filtered. I played audio of myself in the background, and it didn't filter out the background noise of a recording of me in the background. Now, I don't know if that's because it was me or because it was a human voice at normal
Speaking volume
frequency. Yeah, normal speaking volume. Because I had basically took an episode of a show that I was on, and I just played it back in the background, and you couldn't really hear it well enough to tell much, but it didn't filter that noise out.
That was a clever way to test
but
that.
Every other noise I threw at it, it filtered out.
That was a really clever way to test that. Because there's plenty of examples of your voice out in the wild. That was a clever solution to that test.
Well, what I was trying to test there, believe it or not, was I was trying to test whether a TV, if you had a TV or someone watching a video in the background, whether that would be filtered. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want to record something that I didn't have the copyright to. Mm-hmm. Sure. So I picked an episode of the PieCast, which some folks know is the Tuesday show that I do about Raspberry Pi, and I played that on this computer while trying it on that recording on that computer, and it was, you could subtly hear it in the background. Whereas other things, and listen, if folks want to actually see and hear the audio demos for themselves, I have them online. So if you go to tomshardware.com and you look at my article Nvidia about Nvidia broadcast, or you go straight to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tom's Hardware. I have 5 different demos of the audio filtering. I have one with my son doing a temper tantrum. I made him do the temper tantrum, so I mean, he agreed to do the temper tantrum. It wasn't a spontaneous temper tantrum, so it wasn't as loud as it could have been. But he also was like using a motorized robot during the temper tantrum, so you had 2 different kinds of noise. However, I really do recommend to folks that they get a really good quality microphone, like this Bcaster I have over here, and try to use that to filter out noise rather than using Nvidia Broadcast if you can possibly help it, because it does sort of cut the highs off of your voice. So it's perfectly fine, but I felt like the voice wasn't quite as full as it is with the noise canceling, with the noise filtering off. I think that's just inevitable. I think it just cuts things above a certain frequency off.
Yeah, that's probably the case. For proper noise cancellation, you've got to have 2 mics with disparate directioning to be able to pull it off, which is why your mic, this mic, are able to do it, because there's a second pickup in here for noise cancellation, which obviously when you're dealing with software, you don't have that capability. You only have the input that you have. So yeah, that makes sense that it would try and do some trimming, some audio compression, but that's always unfortunate because you always lose highs that way.
But if you're on a call with your boss, it is priceless. Also, I don't think even a really good quality mic like this will avoid, let's see. Mm-mm. You heard that? Did you hear me typing?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so that's not going to go away.
When we were doing the pre-show, I heard you doing it on the other keyboard.
Right. So every keyboard here is clicky. That's how I go here.
Me too, except for the one under
here. But that it will get, you won't hear the keyboard at all.
That's cool.
It is absolutely perfect. It will cut off. It will not hear the keyboard at all. So for that scenario alone, even having a great microphone won't stop it. So having Nvidia Broadcast, which is a free download, I should say, totally free, but you have to have a computer that has Nvidia RTX card in it.
Very cool. And obviously, I know you said you've got videos. I know you've got to have an article as well, right?
Yes, we have an article about it, and we have videos in the article, and we also have them on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Tom's Hardware.
Very cool. Well, I'm really impressed with this software. If I end up upgrading my video card upstairs in the office, I might install it there too for my daily morning calls, because we've got one person who has a turtle tank right next to their computer, and so there's this weird audio dripping sound, and somebody has a clicky keyboard who likes to type when other people are talking. So it would be nice to be able to cancel them out.
Yes. I mentioned this, but just to remind folks, you can filter out incoming noise.
That's so cool.
So, and if you were the broadcaster like Scott is now, you could filter out incoming noise from me before broadcasting it out. But if you were just on a Zoom call, let's say, you could filter out those noises.
Boy, it'd be pretty cool to figure out how to get the routing on this computer right for some of our guests. Not you. You've got good on-air computer etiquette, but not all of the guests that we've had on Launchpad have had that same etiquette. So It would be interesting to figure out the
Yeah,
routing on here on how that might work.
it's tough. You can't make up for you can only do so much to make up for, for people who have poor etiquette. I was remembering the other day that right after my father died in May, we had like online, visitation or whatever, and we had a big Zoom call, and one woman was like eating soup in the middle of it, and everyone could hear her right in front of
which is weird on its own.
Yes, right. Like you would think, like, could you not do that during the,
it's like
during
you know what it is
condolence visit.
You know what it is we're doing, right? It's like
yeah,
where you are, right?
It's so I don't know. You got to.
People are interesting.
Maybe someday in the future, AI will. Technically speaking, shouldn't this stuff be built into the audio software and happening in the cloud? Like, shouldn't this be built into Google Meet and Zoom and Vimeo and all the things and happen in the cloud? I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. And now that Nvidia has got software for it, they might be working on server versions of it too. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they're not the first to think of such a thing.
I can't imagine.
Hey, it's pretty cool
for sure. Well, as always, Avram, I appreciate you bringing this to us because I don't currently have an RTX card that I can play with it on. So this is a selling point for upgrading the office machine, as I have plenty of reasons, just like we mentioned, to try it out. So thank you for showing it off. And for those who haven't heard the audio stuff in action, definitely go check it out over on the website because it is pretty cool. And until next week, I look forward to finding out what we're going to talk about. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. Get all the accessories you need to up your game on your PC, console, or mobile device from Razer. Whether you're looking for a gaming mouse and keyboard like we use here in the studio, a light for your webcam to up your Twitch game, or an entire gaming setup like the Razer Blade 15, you can find it all at Razer by going to f5live.tv/Razer. So, this week, we finally got the core information about the PlayStation 5, including the two models of the device, prices, and a pre-order that went interestingly. Obviously, new product launches for a long time have been fraught with problems. We can all remember almost riots at Apple stores in the old days when they had limited stock and way too many people for it. A lot of companies who do a lot of these have kind of sussed out their process, but Sony doesn't do a lot of these with the PlayStation. This is only the fifth one, right? So it's not like they've got 300 models of the iPhone under them to have worked the process out. And so what we saw was a mad scramble for pre-orders that it almost felt like even the retailers weren't given quite enough of a heads up that it was time to do pre-orders, because we saw websites fail. We saw some stores theoretically accidentally oversell their pre-orders. And we saw physical retailers like GameStop not only get laughably small allotments that each store had to stay within their theoretical allotment, as opposed to having just one big GameStop inventory that they could pull from, and they'd ship the right ones to the right stores. But the console that was high in demand, the all digital version, because it was $100 less, had very, very small allotment. I think on average it was 22% or something like that. 22 or 24% of the pre-order availability was the device that people were looking for. So that caused its own problems of people having to decide, well, do I go into GameStop and find out, no, they don't have it, and then do I spend the extra $100 to get the console that wasn't my plan, or do I risk it and try and do a pre-order online through Walmart or Amazon or whoever, and maybe it won't be available anymore? Who knows? There was a lot of panic there.
Why would you? Okay, so why would you say that a pre-order at GameStop is not risky?
Well, it is inherently risky. It's its own version of risky, for sure.
I mean, I can list you a million ways in which it's risky. That's the riskiest. One is
that they'll be around in November.
Some people will. Yes. The most important thing is this is a company that's in bad shape, right? So they may not be around. I mean, I think we can count on Amazon being around. I think we can count on Walmart being around. We can't count on GameStop as a whole being around, or the individual GameStop that you went to pre-order this being around in November.
There's like 120 stores currently on the chopping block.
Right. So what happens if you place the pre-order at one of those stores?
I don't think that they had allotment.
Oh, so they already know which 120 stores?
Oh yeah, they were already. Yeah, I think so. I think they were already announced.
Oh, but still, more could come, right? I mean, between now and November.
Oh, of course.
The situation has become very, very bad for them.
Yeah, and this isn't going to make it better, which is, of course, the reason why their allotment was so small for the all-digital version, because that's the version that's going to sign their death warrant.
Kill them.
Yeah.
Right. They don't want you to buy the all-digital version because that's not good for them.
Yeah.
They want to sell you physical games. So yeah, I would not do anything at GameStop. Also consider that, we're still, especially in America, in the middle of a pandemic. Anytime you go to the store, you're taking a risk. Yes, you could wear a mask, and hopefully all the other patrons there will be wearing a mask, but maybe not. So you're going to go there just to place a pre-order for something that may or may not come in on time, that the store may or may not be open. I mean, I don't think I take every one of my interactions these days. I weigh the risk of them, and that seems like a very poor risk reward. So I think you should absolutely not pre-order this at GameStop. Now, it's unfortunate that it is difficult, but people will have difficulty getting this. They will have difficulty getting the new Xboxes that are coming out. And guess what? You could call it, if you're ordering it the same day that I guess it's officially available. I don't know if you call that a pre-order, but people trying to get the Nvidia RTX 3080 cards on Thursday. Well, actually, was it Wednesday or Thursday was the first official day? Wednesday, we put our review out. So there was a whole bunch of scalpers grabbing up all the cards. And we did a story on Tom's Hardware called How Bots Took Over the RTX 3080 Launch. And yeah, there's a company called Bounce Alerts that scalpers use. They subscribe for $75 a month, but they don't allow an unlimited number of people to actually even be their customers. And they manage to do things to allow you to like get in there and buy stuff as fast as possible. And apparently they also have workarounds to the one per customer limitations as well. So that's what services like bounce alerts are why people are going to be able to pre-order multiples of the PlayStation 5 and multiples of the Xbox where others won't get any. It's a sad, unfair world. I guess the best thing you can do is exercise patience, and if you don't get it right away, live with it. You know, it's unfortunate. I certainly would count on companies that run the stores to do a good job of trying to filter out illegitimate buyers. And I know that they actually have things in place to try and stop it. So I guess it's sort of like an arms race. Now, it may also just be the case that there are a lot of legitimate individuals who want to pre-order these things or order them.
In our Florida Gamers group, we actually had human beings, right, not bots, who were trying to track who did and did not still have inventory allotments, and they were posting in the Facebook group, you know, not Walmart, but because Walmart decided not to do in-store pre-orders, which was the right decision, I think. This GameStop still has, you know, whatever, and there was a whole lot of that going on in the group because it was difficult for human beings to find the product because the scalpers got to it. Right now on eBay, I'm looking at confirmed pre-orders ranging anywhere from $560 through $900 plus for a $400 and $500 console.
Yeah, I mean, it happens with other types of products as well.
Sure.
That aren't even like hot products. For example, right now in my home office here, I'm trying to buy two new monitors. I have two that I've had since before my son was born, and that goes back more than 8 years. So I want to get another two and have a quad setup. And I found some fantastic sales on monitors, on a couple of 4K Lenovo monitors that I wanted to get, and they're sold out. But some of the monitors that, like almost everything, they had a huge sale. Almost everything's sold out. But you go to eBay and there are people selling them for like $100 more. Mm-hmm. And I almost new in box, and I almost guarantee that these people bought them when they were on sale
after the
sale,
that
they could go to eBay and then sell it for more.
Absolutely. Because once people see the sale and see sold out, they go look, and they find it elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
Google Shopping will surface from eBay.
It was tempting to me, you know, $220 for a 4K monitor.
Wow.
That claims to have 99% sRGB coverage. You know,
wow.
If it comes back again, you should get it.
Yeah, right.
Get two of them to put right next to each other here,
and then two of them to put on eBay.
I'm telling and two to put on eBay. Right. So, and then there are other things, like there's some sales on Dell monitors, but apparently people are saying that the Dell monitors, while they'll let you buy them, claim to not be shipping till November. So
that's interesting.
Kind of want to have my my quad monitor set up before then.
I understand. During the office transition, I struggled with not having my quad monitor set up for a little while. So I understand well. You get real used to it real quick.
You and I should talk about that after, because I'm still, but anybody in the chat room or anywhere wants to give me advice, I'm still split on the idea of whether or not I have two 24-inch monitors, whether I should get two monitors that are similar size, like 24, 25-inch, or get two larger monitors, because that seems to be where things are going. I'm kind of leaning toward the two larger monitors. and have an uneven setup, but small ones on the top.
My setup has been in place for a long time. All of mine are the same model, so.
Right. I mean, like, that's the best scenario, but
and then
I don't want to get two more of what I had. I have because they're old.
Right. And I have two more of that monitor in front of me. We were big fans of it. I think Sumo bought 18 of them over time, since that company doesn't exist anymore. Well, we had a bunch of employees and we liked the monitor, so we made sure everybody had a nice high quality 27-inch monitor. And then when things started to dissolve, my setup at home just kept getting bigger and bigger. So now like 6 of those 18 are here. Anyway, so pre-orders are obviously a challenge in general. We've seen it for years. This was no different. Sony has apologized for the chaos that it created, though, and has promised that more pre-order allotments are coming and that the individual retailers will have control over their own process, which I think is much better. Because, like, when you think of pre-orders, you think of iPhone. And, if you go back to the days when Apple first started letting third parties have pre-order allotment, it was absolute chaos. And then they said, all right, you don't go through our process. You create your own process. And that made everything better. So, letting everybody kind of choose how and when, I think, is a better idea. Although I will say, don't expect too much additional availability from Amazon, because they oversold what they already had. So their new allotment will probably have to cover some of that. So there's no telling what'll happen there. But definitely keep an eye out from the PlayStation Twitter account and then the individual retailers to find out what's going on. This week's News from the Tubes and F5 Live is proudly powered by Riff Tracks. Make fun of movies or let these guys do it for you. Mike Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy, the former stars of Mystery Science Theater 3000, are back and doing what they do best, creating commentaries for Hollywood blockbusters and B-movie oddities. It's like watching a movie with your funniest friends. To find out about all of the full-length features, the short films, and the live events, you can go to f5live.tv/rifftracks with an X. So a couple of years ago, Google changed the way it was treating its Google Fiber brand. They paused all new rollouts, and then they bought WebPass, which we thought might go somewhere. Maybe they were looking at a different technology for easier rollouts, and then that seemed to get ignored too. But kind of nothing has happened in that space in a while until an announcement this week where Google Fiber has said that they will start this fall, which starts now, basically. They will be testing in 2 markets, upgrading the speed from 1 gig to 2 gig, which is ridiculous. That is a huge amount of bandwidth.
Isn't 1 gig pretty good as it is?
Right? That was my thought. 2 gigs is a lot of speed. Right now, we are doing this entire show in HD with 2 feeds going out and then 2 feeds coming in because of your current one and the one behind you. So 4 full HD feeds going on at once, and we're doing it on a 400 meg connection. So, I mean, a gig is a lot. Now, gig is max, right? You're going to be affected somewhat, depending on the structure of the network, by your local network, which is the reason why I think my connection here is actually 560, though I pay for 400. But to upgrade to 2, I mean, it's fiber. It's not a copper connection. So that means, on a copper connection, you've got, if it's a gig down, you might only get 40 up, which is the case in my market here. If you've got the gig down, it's still only 40 up, which is comical. But on fiber, it's symmetrical. So you've got one pipe, and it gets used how it gets used. So 500 up, 500 down, 800 up, 200 down, 800 down, 200 up, whatever. So to have a 2 gig symmetrical connection, we could push this show to every conceivable endpoint and never have a problem.
In 4K?
Right? In 4K.
Maybe in 8K. I mean, it's great that they're future proofing it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the question is, I mean, first of all, it looks like you still can't get Google Fiber in most places.
Right. They still have not unpaused the rollout. So there are no new markets, but in the markets that they're in, probably because of all the legal fights that they were having to deal with. But if it's a market that exists, by the end of next year, they plan to have rolled this out to all of their markets. But their test, which starts soon, will be in Huntsville and Nashville. So if you're in one of those 2 markets, you can sign up to be part of the what do they call themselves? The Google Fiber Trusted Tester Program, and get the upgrade. Obviously, if you're a tester, there could be problems. So know that going in, and signing up doesn't guarantee you'll get the upgrade. But they say by the end of next year, they plan to have it everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to have Google Fiber. I would really, really love to have Google Fiber. I mean, that's lovely future proofing to have 1 terabyte each way, or actually more, because we are becoming a content creator society.
Gigabyte.
I'm sorry, yeah, 1 gigabyte.
1 terabyte would be insane.
That's great. I guess it's not really gigabyte; it's gigabit.
Gigabit.
Right? It's one gig. Yeah. 1 gigabit.
To have lowercase
2 gigabits. Yes, to have 2 gigabits, not 2 gigabytes. That's going to be great future proofing for a world in which you have a house with like 4 different people running streams.
Right.
And it could be. I mean, look at all the people who are on video now. Video meetings are becoming a bigger thing. True. People having IP cameras. Video is the thing, right? And people now, the good thing about Google is they don't pretend to have bandwidth caps. They don't aspire to have bandwidth caps. I don't know what's happening to all the people who have what are some of the ones that have like 150 gigabyte gigabyte bandwidth caps? Comcast. Yeah. So what's your life like if you're on Comcast and you're trying to watch a lot of 4K content?
Yeah, right.
Or you're running a Twitch stream.
Yeah, hopefully you're not doing that on Comcast.
Meetings all day. Yeah.
But one of the things that I like about this upgrade is that they're going to replace the router that's part of the service with a Wi-Fi 6 mesh network router, which I think is great because obviously you can't take advantage of almost any of the speed with a Wi-Fi 5 router. But with 6, you can actually take advantage of enough of that bandwidth to matter. And with a mesh, you don't have to deal with what I'm dealing with in the studio, where the Wi-Fi is so slow down here that I'm going to have to put another one or build my own mesh from the office to the studio, because it's a problem down here in general. With a mesh, you don't have to deal with that. So that's kind of cool too. A nice bonus.
Yeah. I mean, that's fantastic.
And $100 a month for a 2 gigabit and the Wi-Fi 6.
Google, take my money.
Yeah,
If you want to come here, please. I'll absolutely sign up.
Yeah, it's a heck of a price for what you're getting for sure. So if you're in Huntsville or Nashville and you want to sign up, we have a link on the website at PLUGHITZlive.com that you can sign up for the Trusted Tester program. If you're not, you'll be waiting until sometime next year if Google Fiber is in your area. This week's DRM Not Included in F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You get free shipping, but you also get some other cool features like free music with Amazon Prime Music. You can get free TV, movies, and documentaries with Amazon Prime Video. You can get free games and one free subscription per month with Amazon Prime Gaming, which used to be called Twitch Prime. And you can get a whole lot more. And you can learn about some of our favorite benefits. And if you're not already a subscriber, get a 30-day free trial. And of course, easy access to all of those features by going to f5live.tv/prime. So we talked last month when Warner announced that there were changes coming to DC. One of those changes was DC Universe. All of the original content was going to be moved onto HBO Max. But DC promised that DC Universe was not going away, which made us all wonder, what in the world could it possibly be? Well, we have our answer. DC Universe is going to become DC Universe Infinite, and instead of being a video subscription service, it is going to be a comic subscription service. It's going to launch with over 24,000 books and will work similar to the Marvel Unlimited subscription service, where if you're a subscriber, you'll have access to a bunch of back catalog and also fairly new content. In fact, after stuff gets printed and sent to comic book stores, 6 months later, it'll be available in the app, which is a pretty quick turnaround for physical to digital media. There will also be digital first content. So there will be some stuff that goes to Infinite before it goes to print, which is obviously a big incentive for signing up for the service. But if you're somebody who's getting into it now, I know on the Marvel side, a lot of the people who got really excited about it were people who were finding a love of characters through the movies and wanted backstory. And obviously trying to find all the back issues of comics is going to be impossible. But, a service like this, here it is. Here are all of the back. Here's 24,000 books.
I would love to have this.
Yeah,
I would love to have this. I had
such a cool idea.
Unlimited for a little while. But when I had it, I don't think they officially had a policy of giving you stuff 6 months later. It was just like you might or might not get new stuff. Now, I'm much more of a DC fan than Marvel fan, so I've been really wanting a DC unlimited comic thing. Buying individual comics is very expensive. And they take up a lot of space.
Yeah, they do.
If you just want to read them. I mean, to be fair, you can buy digital also right away. You can, but you're still talking about, I think, $3 or $4 an issue.
Right.
So, you want to read some comic books. And then, of course, getting older comics that are not brand new, that can get quite expensive as well. Maybe you end up with trade paperbacks. I have in my basement now just a couple of boxes of comic books that, I really enjoyed reading them, but I couldn't afford to keep buying, so this would be awesome.
Yeah.
Now, I guess the question is always is it good? Is the app going to be good? I mean, I think one would already know because they've already done. Is the app going to be really good on the phone? Because I think one of the things with Marvel Unlimited was it was pretty good, but sometimes you have to do a lot of zoom, and I really like it when it kind of is better where you sort of flip and then it just zooms in on one panel, and then and you don't have to do a lot of pinch zooming, because I think that's very annoying. But yeah, I mean, that's great. That's a great. Now I know some folks are disappointed because they liked DC Universe which had comics. DC Universe has comics now, but it doesn't have as many, I think, and I don't think it has that guaranteed 6 months.
Right.
I'll wait 6 months. No problem.
Yeah,
I mean, and then of course the other thing is like, it's great going back. Like when I had Marvel Unlimited, which I had for like a year, because my wife gave it to me as like a Christmas present. Like, here's an annual subscription, and I didn't really get as much use out of it as I would have liked. Partially because some of the things I wanted they didn't have, and partially because I'm just not as big a Marvel fan as DC by far. So,
see, that's why our relationship works, Avram, because I'm definitely on the Marvel side versus the DC side. So that's why our relationship works.
I mean, as far as the movies goes, I mean, there's no question that Marvel movies are like 1,000 times better. Like there's no doubt about it. But as far as the comics go, I love Justice Society. I don't like the comics that everybody likes in DC, like Batman and Superman. I like the more obscure DC comics. I find those the most interesting. So
that's funny. That's how I feel about anime. I tend to like the oddballs, the things that other people are like, what? I've never even heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I think it's I think that's actually going to be really cool.
Yeah. I knew you'd be excited about this
for me for Christmas, my birthday this year, an annual subscription, or maybe one day I'll get it for myself. It seems really cool to be. I mean, and then when you have those sorts of things, it really gives you the encouragement to go back and read and catch up and read the stuff that you didn't get to read and things like that. So.
And see backstory on these characters that the films are introducing new generations to. You know, you can go back and see all of the powerful, cool history of Wonder Woman, right? And see how we got to where we are with the films, and see all the alternate versions. And, you know, because every character has hundreds of alternate personalities, and so you can see alternate versions, which is cool.
So somewhere there is a Wonder Woman comic. I have to look it up. I think it's called Wonder Woman 77 or something, which is actually a continuation of the TV show with Linda Carter that they had. Like, it's taking place in that universe with the Linda Carter Wonder Woman.
Very cool.
Just like I think there's actually a Batman 66 or something like that, which is taking place in Adam West Batman.
That's cool.
So those would be among the first things I would go searching for if I had DC Universe Infinite.
For sure. And any opportunity to expand on the bizarreness that was the Adam West Batman is always acceptable to me.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, he really made.
And did you know there were two recent cartoons of it too?
Oh, really? No, I didn't know that.
I mean, when he was alive, they're on Amazon. There's two cartoon movies where, just like 3 or 4 years ago, they got Adam West and Julie Newmar and I think Burt Ward to do the voices.
Really?
And it's a cartoon continuation of Batman show.
Well, that's gonna be on my short list right now, because I know all of the weird, very strange legal history of him after the show ended. So them bringing him back is a fascinating turn of events. That would be fun to watch. So for those of you who are interested in Infinite, it's going to launch officially January 21st, 2021. It's going to be $7.99 a month. You can also pay for a year up front at $74.99. And I know we just joked about this, but there's no physical inventory limitations, so hopefully it'll go better. The company's going to offer a pre-order period where if you sign up for the monthly service, you'll get a $10 voucher to the DC store. And if you sign up for the yearly subscription, you'll get a $25 voucher to the DC store. So they're going to give you some money back, which I think is a pretty cool incentive for a pre-order. We don't know exactly when that's going to go into effect, but considering the launch is only 4 months away, they're not going to hold out on it too long. And they've also announced that they are extending, if you were a DC Universe subscriber, they are extending the discounted HBO Max subscription price a little bit longer because it was supposed to have expired the end of the month or something like that. So they're going to extend that discount offer as well. So they're definitely trying to make right for those people who supported it in the past and encourage people to support it again in the future, which, when you make a big change like this, I think is important. So, reward the people who supported you, even if the idea didn't last long term. So I think that's a cool benefit. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. We always appreciate when people watch live with us. If you didn't and would like to in the future, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, you can go to f5live.tv/join us, and there you can chat with us during the show, give us your feedback on the topics. If you can't join us live, that's okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe will show you all of our shows, including F5 Live, The Piltch Point, PLUGHITZ Live Presents, and a whole lot more. We're really excited. We have a special edition of First Looks, since obviously social distancing and all of that is making live events a challenge. We have a special edition of First Looks that was going to come out in November in time for Roboticon with the mayor of Tampa. She's excited to come on and talk about STEM education in Tampa. So that's going to be really cool. So watch out for that. And I guess with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Avram.
And we will see you guys back next time. Ciao.